Welcome back to Dreaming Against the Machine. I'm your host, Adam Becker. This week's guest is Cathy O'Neil. She is a mathematician, an algorithmic auditor, and the author of Weapons of Math Destruction, among other books and essays. Cathy is also a friend and was one of the people who first made me aware of the idea of algorithmic bias and the fact that computer systems do not just neutrally enforce rules, but are tools that are used to exercise power. And in fact, I remember back when her book, Weapons of Math Destruction, first came out, I went to see her speak. And she said something that has stuck with me now for over a decade. She said that a friend of hers asked her why she wrote a book about math. And she said, I didn't write a book about math. I wrote a book about power. So with that, here's Cathy O'Neil. Cathy, welcome to Dreaming Against the Machine.
Thank you, Adam. I'm glad to be here.
So, Cathy, how do I even describe you? I say that a lot on this show. I should probably stop saying that because I know who my guests are.
I'm happy to introduce myself, Adam.
Yeah, why don't you introduce yourself? I should just have my guests do that.
Yeah, I know more about me than you do.
That's true. Yeah. I know a bit about you, but yeah.
If I forget anything that you want to mention, then jump on in. But I'm a mathematician turned finance quant turned data scientist turned occupier turned author. And now I have a company that audits algorithms for harm writ large. And most of my clients at this point are attorneys general and other law firms. I basically work as an expert for lawsuits that sue companies for harming people using algorithms.
Okay, I am going to say something. One of your books is called Weapons of Math Destruction, which, in addition to being an excellent pun, is also an excellent book.
Thank you. 10 years ago.
Yeah, God, really? 10 years ago?
Yeah, 10 years ago. 10 years ago minus 2 months or something.
Wow. Okay, and how does that feel?
The more things change, the more they stay the same kind of feeling.
Well, tell us what the book is about. Again, you know more about it than I do. I've read it, but it's been a minute.
It was a call to arms.
Yeah.
I was working first as a quant in finance, then as a data scientist. I was also in Occupy at the time, so I was learning from my fellow occupiers about how to think about things in a kind of through the lens of power and entrenched biases and prejudice. And I was like, oh yeah, that's exactly what's happening in data science. Algorithms are just propagating all sorts of, capitalistic tendencies. And they're just going to eat up the world, but we are all being asked to trust it. Back then it was called big data. It's it's such an old term. That's the oldest thing about my book is the subtitle is How Big Data Increases Inequality and Threatens Democracy.
I remember big data. Yeah.
Yeah. But at the time I wrote it, I'm allowed to swear on this podcast, right?
Yes. I am from New Jersey. God. You can swear on this podcast.
Because I'm big on the swearing word.
Yeah, no, that's one of the reasons we're friends.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Everything was all the journalistic articles, all the books were just big data is going to make everything great and it's going to make everything fair and it's going to be so wonderful. And you know what? My book was the first of many absolutely fucking not books. Yeah. And I've been really happy to see the absolutely fucking not books coming out, but I feel so in some sense, lots of things have changed for the better. We don't trust algorithms, but we are hearing the same kind of crappy hype stuff, marketing, everything's going to be great with the AI stuff now. So I also feel really, again, not that we trust it. Again, I think the thing I wanted to make sure people we're aware of is that these things are not trustworthy. We should not hand over our autonomy and our agency and our big important moral decisions. We just shouldn't hand that all over to capitalistic machines.
Yeah.
And I feel like we still know that, but it's happening anyway.
So one of the things I want to talk about is what we can do about that. But before we jump into that, I do want to just ask something I realized I don't know about you, which is you worked as a quant. You worked for, an investment firm, and then you ended up in Occupy Wall Street. Can you explain that journey a little bit?
Well, I guess the easiest way of explaining it is that I was like unbelievably naive. I didn't
Ah,
know at anything. Like I was a hedge fund quant at DE Shaw. And
mhm,
that was back in the time in 2006 is when I applied and got the job. And I started
mhm.
in 2007, early 2007, before the market started getting turbulent, which they did in August, like the month
Yeah.
after I actually joined the firm. But I
Oh
was a
God.
professor at the time, so like I
Yeah.
delayed starting for a semester to finish off the academic year.
Yeah.
Um, but back then, DE Shaw was just emailing random people in math departments, being like, "You want to do stuff with the market and make markets more efficient? You'd be like making a lot more money than you are now, and you'd be improving the world." And I was like, "Okay, that sounds great." Like I want to have a. And I remember thinking to myself, I want to have a more impact in the world because right now, like I work in
Oh,
number theory,
oh
and the
boy.
numbers, like I write a paper and the 7 people who care about it know about it within a week because I tell them, and then it takes 5 years to publish the paper. You know what I mean? It was just, like,
Yep.
unbelievably slow moving,
Yep.
and, like, I just felt impotent, and I was like, "I wanna have a little bit more effect on the world." And I thought I the naivete, of course, was like, I forgot to say positive effect. Like, I just went into it being like, "Ooh, we're gonna make markets more efficient." Like, I totally 100% was like, whatever Alan Greenspan and Larry Summers are saying, like, must be true because 'cause they're so
Oh
smart.
boy.
It was
Yeah.
gross. It was looking back on it, I wanna slap my face. But it
Yeah.
only took me a couple years to be like, "Wow, this is really gross. This is
Yeah.
super gross," and I feel literally sick to my stomach every morning. It got to the point where, like, I had this a major internal conflict. What's it called? When you, like, have 2 thoughts at the same
Cognitive
time that
dissonance.
yeah, cognitive dissonance, thank you.
Yeah.
And where I was just like, "Well, this is a good job, I'm learning a lot, it's really interesting. The people I talk to are absolutely fascinating because 'cause they're so crazy weird, like Ayn Rand preppers, like
Yeah, well,
think
they were
like
listening to Alan Greenspan, RIP. He died
yeah,
what, like
right,
2
right,
days ago or something when we're recording this.
right. Mhm.
RIP to someone who was wrong about basically everything. But yes, anyway, continue.
Yeah. So, interesting place to work, making good money, learning a lot, mathematically fascinating, like really truly interesting, like on a daily basis. Also, I was like, I'm trying to front run like CalPERS, which is like the
Mhm.
retirement pension fund for California teachers.
Yep.
And I was just like, I just don't feel good about this.
Yeah.
I don't I feel like a junkyard dog, like a scavenger, like eating like tearing the flesh out of old teachers, retired
Yeah.
teachers.
Wait,
So I
hold
would
on.
wake up every
When you said
morning like
front run?
mhm,
What does that
yeah.
mean?
That just means, like, get in the market and do whatever they're about to do before they did it, because, like, I
Ah,
if you can anticipate a very, very large fund's, purchases and sales, then you can make money.
right.
And they I mean, by the way, I don't think that my model would have necessarily succeeded, but the model I was working on was basically intended to do that.
Right.
Um Anyway, the point is that the cognitive dissonance got to me. I was like, my stomach hurt every morning, and
Yeah.
at some point, I was like, I don't care how, like, on paper, how good this job is. I have to get out right now.
Yeah.
And I got out, and then I started a blog basically to remind people. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention I'm a blogger. I started Math Babe like as soon as I quit
Yep.
finance. And I was like, I got to warn other mathematicians because they're still sending these emails to mathematicians being like, hey, are you naive? Come work for us. And I started Math Babe. And then I joined Occupy once it started.
Yeah.
And so that's how it worked out. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, that makes sense, and I feel like also brings us back to, okay, we're still in this place where people think that amassing large amounts of data and feeding them through algorithms, which, were called, it went from big data to data science to machine learning to AI, but it's all still like statistics on a Mac, which I don't know if you encountered this joke back then, but the joke I remember from back then is that data science is just stats on a Mac.
I remember I actually coined a line that I've heard repeated through other people, which was
Yeah.
like, it's data science if it doesn't fit onto an Excel spreadsheet. Like, otherwise, it's just statistics, yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
I think it's, listen, I can have two things can be true at the same time, Adam.
Sure.
Like, it can be true that we're going through the same political confusion,
Yeah.
like marketing hype bullshit propaganda system, which is
Mhm.
true, and that the technology is impressive
Yeah.
and different. And like, yeah, like data science was different from what then became machine learning. And that's in turn different from what now is large language modeling. It's
Sure.
really different. In particular, it's much, much worse now.
It's different because it's worse.
It's much, much, much worse. It's like much worse for the environment.
Yeah.
It's much more of a threat to our way of life
Yeah.
if we're, normal people. So
Yeah.
I just think, yeah, like it's not, we shouldn't poo-poo it as like, oh, this is just statistics on a Mac. It's
Sure.
not. It's
Yeah.
gotten way bigger than that.
No. Yeah. That's fair. Yeah. No, I was just being glib as I am wont to be sometimes, but yeah, it has gotten worse, and it feels like it's eaten the entire economy. It's interesting though, because like just thinking about what's happened over the last 10 years, thinking about the sort of career path that you were just talking about. I remember I moved out to the Bay when I finished my PhD, so what, 2012? And that was right around the shift from when people were saying big data to data science, I think, right around then. And I had like the profile of a data scientist in that I had a PhD in, a
Yeah.
quantitative field and knew how to code in Python and had some experience working with reasonably large data sets and running code remotely on reasonably powerful computers. And then instead of becoming a data scientist, I became a journalist because I had this premonition that if I became a data scientist, I would wake up feeling nauseated every day, which I guess is what happened to you. But I thought that that was pretty bad already. And I didn't anticipate how much worse it was going to get, or how much of the US and global economy it was going to eat.
And continues to threaten.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm like whipsawed on a daily basis between like, oh my God, like there won't be mathematicians anymore. And I'll
Yeah.
say more about that if you want. But like, this is just so bullshit. And like,
Yeah.
it's like the companies are going to stop using AI because no one's asking the right question. They're instead of asking, well, what they're asking is, does this help?
Mhm.
But they're not asking how much does this cost, and is it reasonable to use it instead of humans? So like they're replacing their workforces, at least on paper, with AI agents or what have you,
Yeah.
but they haven't actually started paying the costs of the AI because the AI companies are all just competing for customers so hard that they're not charging
Yeah.
for their costs. So you're just like, well, this isn't cost efficient yet until you consider costs. All you
Yeah.
can say is that it's useful in some way. That's not the same thing as being cost efficient. So like that consideration, which comes to my mind once every other day, just makes me feel like, yeah, maybe this is just gonna go away.
I mean, I think that it's a bubble and it's going to pop, but when and how matters, right? I mean, this is currently what, I mean, I don't remember the figures offhand, but some massive fraction of the stock market is based on the valuation of this small set of companies, and the amount of money being poured into AI, and both in terms of investments in startups and in infrastructure like data centers, is just going up and up and up. And if that bubble pops, I mean, if it pops now, it would be bad. If it pops any significant amount of time further away from now, it's going to be catastrophic. And
Yeah,
so
I think
better
it is
for it
gonna
to pop
pop sooner.
sooner. Good.
It is
I
gonna
mean, I
pop
want it
sooner.
to pop sooner.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think, again, both things can be true. It can
Yeah.
pop, it can be a bubble, and it can have staying power,
Sure.
like the railroads, right? Like, I'm
Yeah.
sure you've
Yeah.
heard
Yeah.
that guy talk about the railroad bubble. The difference being, of course, that the railroad bubble gave us railroad tracks,
Yeah.
and those were actually useful. And it's not completely clear what the utility of empty data centers, like half-constructed data centers, will be in the future if we don't actually use them.
I mean, a fire sale on GPUs.
Right. It's a lot. It's a big bubble.
Yeah.
I think it's already a big bubble. I think my guess is that, when the OpenAI and Anthropic put out their actual numbers in order to get their IPOs, which they're trying to do this year,
Yeah.
you're gonna see a lot of like, "Oh, shit," like, happening, I think.
Hmm.
And particular, for OpenAI, I feel like it's just losing now.
Huh.
And I think, like, all the companies like Microsoft and all the companies that have huge deals with OpenAI are gonna be like, "Fuck, we chose the wrong team."
Well, in that, but are they then going to think we chose the wrong team, in that, like, we chose this direction of development, like AI, as something that we were all in on, or are they just going to think that they chose the wrong AI company?
I think they're gonna say they chose the wrong AI company, and then the AI company that wins is probably Google, because they just have access to all the data, because they
Mm.
force it down my fucking throat every time I fucking open my Android.
Oh God, it's so true.
It's so gross. But
Yeah.
then we're gonna actually, once Google wins, we're gonna be like, "Okay, what is this good for? How much does it cost?" It's
Mm.
just gonna become a normal technology. And I'm not saying that it's not gonna slowly eat up lots of things. So, like, that's the longer term thing. I think that, I guess my point is, like, my shorter term thing is like, this is a fucking huge bubble. My medium term thing is like, it's still gonna take over in ways that we are really going to regret.
Hmm.
I don't know, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I think I was thinking about what you were saying about no more mathematicians, and I mean, I want to know what you mean by that, but I also think I know what you mean by that. There was an article written, oh, I think earlier this month, which is June when we're recording this, article for, I think it was Science, by a friend of mine, Josh Sokol, who I'll have on the podcast at some point, about the way that they're using AI in the field where I did my PhD, astrophysics and cosmology. And um, Josh is a very good writer, and a very good journalist. And it's a lovely piece, but I also found it to be an incredibly depressing piece. And I actually texted that to Josh, and he hasn't written back. Josh, if you're listening to this, text me back. But I think he hasn't written back because I believe he's closing in on the end of working on a book, and that is always a really nightmarish time for keeping up with anything else in your life. But in any event, it's really, it feels like it was a long time ago when I did my PhD, but in absolute terms, it's really not that long ago. It was what, like 14 years ago? It's not that long.
Yeah. Mhm.
I recognize so much of what Josh wrote about in that article, about like the actual process of doing that kind of scientific research. And I saw what he was saying about, the way that people were doing astrophysics research. And without getting into the details, the thing that I was worried about, and the thing that some of the people he was interviewing were worried about, was, okay, putting aside concerns about how this technology was created, which I think those concerns are reasonable, right? Like concerns about copyright, concerns about the massive amounts of resources that have to be used, like natural resources that have to be used, the amount of carbon that has to be put into the atmosphere in order to build up and train these models and collect the data in the first place, the
Mm.
sorts of awful biases that are in those data sets, and the horrible psychological harms inflicted on the people doing the reinforcement learning with human feedback, mostly in developing countries in Africa. Um, Putting all of that aside, which I don't think we should put aside in the long run or even the short or medium run, putting that aside, I can understand where there are places in research where these tools can be useful if you are using them very carefully and deliberately. The problem is, in order to use them that way, you have to know how to do what they're doing without them. And so I
Wait, say more
worry.
about that. I'm not so sure about if I believe you.
Okay.
I think that you're talking about worst, like best case scenario. Best case scenario, you're like, oh, thanks for doing that more efficiently than I would have done it. I knew how to do it, but best case scenario, you're like, oh, thanks for doing that more efficiently than I would have done it. I knew how to do it, but cozy description of how scientists might use AI is not the way I think we will see things happen and play out.
Wait, okay. Now I'm going to ask you to say more about that. What do you mean?
Well, I also interviewed somebody this month. I interviewed Daniel Litt, who is one of the people that wrote up the mathematical piece, the counterexample to the Erdish conjecture. So that was in
Hmm.
Scientific American. I write up about that. I looked at the original paper, which is not that hard to read.
Yeah.
Daniel Litt is a number theorist and algebraic geometer that I used to work with the same place with him
Hmm.
at Columbia. And like that guy who's brilliant and now has become really interested in mathematics done with the aid of AI and stuff. He made some predictions that really got under my skin. He like really got under my skin. I don't think I've ever gotten so riled up on a podcast. And I'll just say briefly, and people should listen to it because he's. I want to be fair to him, but I
Wait,
won't
hold on.
be.
Time
So
out.
you should listen to his
We
words.
haven't even mentioned that you have a podcast.
Yeah. I have a podcast. It's called AI Skeptics.
Yeah.
And I originally invited you to be a co-host of my AI Skeptics podcast, but you decided that was too negative. AI Skeptics is too negative and a name. And I just think you're wrong about that. But anyway, so I have a different co-host, my friend and colleague, Jake Appel. And
I am honored that you asked me to do it, and I still probably think that I made a mistake by saying no, but I think we're both having fun doing what we do.
we are having fun.
Yeah.
I definitely am. It's like my favorite moment of the week. So,
Nice.
and you were one of my early guests, and I'm on
Yes.
your podcast. So it's nice to do it this way.
Yes.
Anyway, Daniel was on, and his prediction for the future of mathematics was like, we're not going to do this stuff anymore. We're going to ask the computer to do it. And our job is basically going to be like reading the tea leaves of the proofs that it creates. Cause that's what he did. Like Google, sorry, OpenAI used a particular version of ChatGPT, which they claim wasn't fine tuned, but I don't believe them. And they tried a bunch of different Erdish open problems. There's, I think, 600 of them,
Hmm.
100 times each. And like you could multiply the cost of this. It was millions and millions of dollars to get this result.
Yeah.
Probably totally worth it to them because it's a huge PR win
Yes.
for them.
Yeah.
And they're also just throwing money. They're just burning money with matches anyway. So
Hmm.
might as well have something that makes them look smart. But that's just my personal feeling about it. But his point was it's only going to get better. And in 100 years, the mathematics will be done by asking the computer, is this true? And then if yes, how do I understand its proof? And I was just like, I'm outraged. Like we went into math because it's art, because it's beautiful. We're art producers. This is an artistic endeavor.
Yeah.
I didn't go into math to become a prompt engineer. And he's like, oh, well, I did. I'm happy with it. He's like
Whoa.
totally happy with it. And I was like,
Whoa.
I
Okay.
know.
Hold on.
Well, actually, what he said was, and to be fair to him, he said, I went into math because I want to know what's true. And I was like, well, I don't want to just know what's true. I want to know why it's true. Like I feel
Yeah.
like handing over proofs to a machine is like seeding the aha moment of discovery.
Unfortunately, we still live in capitalism, and that means we need to talk about our partners and sponsors. But fortunately, our partners and sponsors are great. And if you want to support Dreaming Against the Machine directly, you can join us on Patreon, where $5 a month gives you the chance to ask questions of upcoming guests and a dedicated stream of cat pictures. We're a proud member of the Multitude Podcast Collective. Multitude is our home, a group of podcasters creating shows you can count on. They help me and my producer Nick with virtually all aspects of getting this show out to you each week. And this month, you can help them. Multitude wants to hear from you. They are running a survey of listeners to better know the audience for all of the shows in the collective, including this one. This information will help us keep this podcast afloat, both financially and emotionally. If you've ever wanted to send us a note about what this podcast means to you, this is a great way to do it. The survey is at multitudeshows.com/survey, and it's open until August 17th. It's real short. Go check it out. And here's a word from our sponsors. Just to back up for a minute, for our listeners, an Erdos problem is one of the many open problems that was left behind by one of the great 20th century mathematicians, Paul Erdos.
And if you want to hear stories about Erdos, listen to that podcast, because I was in Hungary and I met him.
Oh, no shit. You
and he
met
also
him?
Stayed with my parents. So my mom had stories about him, and I tell those stories on my podcast. Yeah.
Oh my God. Did you publish with him?
My dad did. My dad had an
Wow.
Erdos number of 1, and I have an Erdos number of 3. So
Huh.
that's close enough, to be honest.
I also have an Erdos number of 3, which is considered low for physicists, and I take
It is low.
more pride in it than I should. Yeah.
One of the things that my mom told me that I didn't get on the podcast, so I'll say it here, is that
Yeah.
she tried to do math with him and he fell asleep. He was much more interested in men.
Oh, man.
He thought of women as like helpful. Like he handed her his loose button and asked her to fix it. That was how he saw women. He was just a really messed up guy. So I don't idolize him at all. But he did leave behind a lot of open questions. That's true.
Yeah, which is a good thing in math. Not a bad thing. I should also explain an Erdos number is like math and I guess physics equivalent of like the Kevin Bacon game, where like if you published with Erdos because you had many co-authors, you have an Erdos number of 1. If you publish with someone who published with Erdos, you have an Erdos number of 2, and so on and so forth. Both of your parents were mathematicians, Cathy?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow. Neither of my parents are physicists, but they're both listening.
It's actually
Hi.
pretty normal if you look at women mathematicians that their father was a mathematician.
Really?
It's like much higher than you'd expect.
Huh. I guess that makes some sense. But I'm sorry, I got completely derailed by your family knowing Erdos.
Yeah. So, but going back to the point, which is
Yes.
like mathematicians becoming prompt engineers.
Yeah.
It's dark. I mean, it's dark. And one of the reasons I got particularly riled up is because I had just gotten back, when I recorded this with Daniel, gotten back from a memorial of the guy who founded my math camp. As a teenager, I went to a math camp, and this is a guy, his name was David Kelly. It was at Hampshire College. He was a total hippie, feminist, gay guy. And he's the kind of guy who would take a stick and teach us math in the dirt with a stick. He was like a, kind of a cult leader type, Pythagorean. Imagine a modern day Pythagorean cult.
Cult leader, positive.
In a positive way. Yeah. It was actually cultish. He obsessed over yellow pigs and the number 17. Those were our mascots. And it was very, very sweet and dear. It was where I found my identity as a young person. That's why I called my blog Math Babe, because of my discovery of who I was once I got to that math camp. And before I started crying, let me just say that just the idea of telling him here's what math is going to look like in 100 years. I'm kind of just I'm glad he's not here to see this.
Well, first of all, in the same way that this is a podcast where we can swear, this is also very much a podcast where we can cry.
That's good.
Yeah, I am,
maybe I really do need that glass of wine.
Yeah, maybe you do need that glass of wine. Oh, man. I mean, honestly, you're going to make me cry because now I'm thinking about the nerd counts where I sort of figured out who I was, and also thinking about the mentors who meant a lot to me. And also, I feel obliged to say this, even though it might make you cry more, but also like Hampshire College is going away.
Yeah, it was very fitting to be there. We were there when everybody at like all the staff at Hampshire College got fired the same day as the memorial. It was just
God.
brutal. It's a brutal ending
Yeah.
in so many ways.
I've never been to Hampshire College, but I've always known about it and sort of admired it from afar and was happy that it existed.
It's exactly what you think. It was like this
Yeah.
bastion of hippie love. Like there's other ways of thinking, there's other ways of prioritizing truth and knowledge and beauty and love. And it was really special. I mean, I guess that's one of the things that kind of like going back to AI and its
Yeah.
long-term influence, which we talked short term and medium term, but like long term, it upsets me that it's like so homogenizing of thought.
Yeah.
I feel like we're being very much encouraged just to offload our critical thinking to AI, if we even have critical thinking anymore, but like
Yeah.
offloading our way of thinking. And it is scary how many people around me right now, and I consider myself like a little pocket of resistance, but even the people around me at being like, well, Claude told me blah blah blah, and I just want to punch them in the face every
Yeah.
time. Like, stop
Yeah.
asking.
Yeah. No, same. The place to me where it's the most visible, and maybe this is just because this is what I do, but I see it in writing, right? I mean, I really believe in the old saw that writing is thinking. And I think that when you
Mm.
offload your writing to ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, you are offloading your thinking. And this gets me to the stuff that I was, sort of in the process of saying that I was worried about regarding astrophysics and cosmology, which is, I'm worried about de-skilling people learning how to do these things only with AI and not learning how to do them for themselves, which is terrifying, but less terrifying than what you were just talking about regarding math. And definitely also something that people are saying about astrophysics and cosmology. And that makes me want to scream and cry, but seeing the way that people's thinking is getting, smoothed out and homogenized, like you were saying, like replacing your own voice with the smeared out averaged voice of the internet. I work hard at my writing. I have worked hard at my writing for a long time, since before I became a professional writer. It was an important creative outlet for me. And then like a fool and many people before me, I let my creative outlet become my job. And so then I had to find a new creative outlet, which these days is photography. But one of the things that I work hard at, and that I think a lot of writers work hard at, is finding ways to make your writing express your voice more authentically. Like, I want my writing to sound like me, and I want to make sure that I'm there on the page with the reader, so that when the reader reads what I have to say, it's a conversation between the two of us, even though it's one way.
Okay, let me stop you there, Adam.
Okay.
Not because I don't admire that, which I do. I would even agree with it, but like I would just say that most people don't take writing that seriously.
Yeah.
I would even venture to guess that you don't always take writing that seriously. Like there's some writing that you have to do, not because it's a creative outlet, not that because you're having a great thought that you want to get down just so, but because you're obligated to respond to emails.
Sure.
And I feel like that's the slippery slope.
Right.
I can imagine like a future school of writing where you're like, you're going to do this on pieces of paper with pencils. And this is the way we do it. And it's great. And people are like, yeah, I'm in. But they're still going to use AI to respond to emails. And you know what I mean? I feel like that's how they get you.
But it is a slippery slope. I mean, that's why I don't do that. Well, one of the reasons I don't do that. The other is the other stuff I was talking about before that I was putting to the side for the moment is, I don't want to use the AI to do it because I think that there are harms that you inflict by using it and creating this stuff. But I mean, yes, you're right. A lot of people don't take writing that seriously, but first of all, you don't have to take it that seriously to see that writing is thinking. And second, I have seen professional writers start to use AI to do stuff, and it makes their writing worse because it makes them sound like everyone else. And I don't think that AI is a particularly good ventriloquist or will become one. Like when people ask it to, write in the style of so and so, I don't actually think it does a great job of that. Usually, it's only doing a particularly good job of that when you are asking it to do something in the style of someone from a particularly different time and place so that the word frequencies are really, really different. I
Or they're like super stylized,
Yeah,
like
exactly, super stylized
Shakespearean
in some
sonnets.
way. Yeah, exactly. And, yeah, okay, maybe it'll get a little better at that, but I don't want that future, and I feel like it is similar to the sort of future of mathematicians and cosmologists as prompt engineers, in a way.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced that that's where we're heading, and I also think that we have a choice about that. I mean, because first of all, I don't think that large language models and, the sorts of AI that could be like immediate descendants of large language models are conscious and like having experiences in the world in any meaningful way. And I do think that that's an important part of doing all of this stuff.
Adam, I think I might have asked you this when we were talking before, but one of my favorite arguments along these lines is like, if you read a really good review of a restaurant written by AI, would you think that it's a good restaurant?
Yeah, exactly.
Just to put that point on it, like the fine
Yep.
point on it, it's just like it cannot eat.
Yeah.
It cannot enjoy itself. How about like a review of a sexy movie? Like this was super sexy.
Or perfume.
Or a hotel stay.
Yeah, a national park.
Just there's
I
so
just
many things. They're embodied experiences. And just as they can't enjoy a spa
Yep.
treatment, we also can't punch it in the face for giving us the wrong advice, which is another thing I keep coming back to. Like, there's nobody to punch in the face.
Yeah, I mean, this is a better version of the old, a machine cannot be held accountable, therefore a machine cannot be, make a management decision or whatever. Like, we can't punch a machine in the face. So,
Yeah.
well, this brings me to something else. We've been talking about things that we're depressed about, but this is Dreaming Against the Machine. And yes, it's still early days for the podcast, and I'm still figuring out exactly what it is that we're doing here, but I
And you're
want
trying to
us.
figure out what it is that you could possibly be optimistic about as well.
Well, it's not so much optimistic about, as it is like,
Okay.
how do we fight this?
Oh, okay.
What do we do about it?
Well, this might seem like a passive form of resistance, but I'll throw something out there. Like
Yeah.
a friend of mine who just got his PhD in computer science, so he knows a little bit of from what he speaks. Is obsessed over the danger that is, in his opinion, currently posed by people creating agents that are running amok on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing it for all sorts of reasons with all sorts of incentives. And a lot of them are just trying to make huge amounts of money on like taking advantage of dupes on like sports betting sites. And I'm sure they're doing a good job with that. But he's afraid that some of them are going to really fuck things up. And I'm like, what's the worst case scenario? He's like, nuclear codes, everyone's going to die. And I'm like, okay, but that's not realistic. Like, probably something much stupider is going to happen before that.
Yeah.
It's just gonna, like, jam up, like, the electricity grid. It's gonna, like, be a virus and then make itself, whatever it's gonna do. It's gonna do something really stupid,
Yeah.
and I'm all for it. I'm just like, "Bring it on. Faster the better." Like, let's bring down the electricity grid in the Northeast and be like, "This was AI agents run amok," and everybody would be like, "Fuck AI agents. Fuck that." And we're gonna finally see some response from policymakers. Because
Yeah.
like there's my experience with like harm, which is what I do, like
Yeah.
AI harm or algorithmic harm,
Yeah.
is that nobody cares until someone's dead.
Wow.
And then even then, it depends on how many people have to die. And I'm just being realistic here, Adam. Like we didn't get seatbelts until a lot of people died and Ralph Nader stepped in, and
Yep.
he was hardcore. I want to be the Ralph Nader of this situation, but I'm just saying, like, you also need to wait till the evidence is in your face, in people's faces. This is dangerous. And I don't think it is there yet.
Okay. I'm gonna push back on that a little bit. First, I'm gonna make a joke, which is you want to be the Ralph Nader for this, but you don't want to spoil the 2000 election.
Spoil the 2000 election?
Well, Ralph Nader. Okay, yeah, sorry, Ralph
Oh, I
Nader.
see what you mean, because
Yeah,
he
yeah,
also did that.
yes,
Yeah.
because he also did that. Ralph Nader causing Al Gore not to be president. No, don't do that, Ralph Nader. Why'd you do that? But yeah,
I'm not saying he was an unalloyed good, but I'm
yeah,
saying,
no,
like,
I know
he
that
definitely did some good stuff.
absolutely.
I'm just saying it was a combination of him doing it at the right time in the right way
Yeah,
with really brutal tactics, and the fact that the evidence was there. The
yeah,
evidence was palpable. And I just feel like we are still in the phase of, like, this looks like it could be really bad for jobs, for this, for that, for this. And when people are like, "Oh, this could happen," I'm just like, "Just bring it on." Like AI agents screwing everything up. I can't wait.
but the things people are already dying.
I know. I know. And I'm involved in the lawsuits, Adam. I'm involved in the lawsuit.
I know, and also I should have said at the beginning, full disclosure, I am an affiliate of your consulting firm, and
Yeah. I'm ready on multiple fronts to be the Ralph Nader of a given situation, whether it's like chatbot, kid suicide,
yeah,
or the electricity grid going down and people not being able to find their way home on ways and riding into the Charles River, like whatever it is.
no, I'm with you. I'm just surprised that people don't care more about the people who have already died. Like someone on the internet somewhere, I think maybe Blue Sky, made the analogy to the Tylenol murders back in what the late 70s, early 80s, where
I
somebody
remember that.
yeah,
It was
somebody
early 80s because I was old enough to read the paper.
yeah, so it was somebody, I don't think they ever caught who it was, put poison into unopened bottles of Tylenol just in a drugstore somewhere, and people bought them, and a few people died, including like at least one kid. And immediately there was, I mean, even before legislation passed, these companies voluntarily started including seals on
Yeah.
over-the-counter medication, which we still see to this day, and which I believe are now mandated by law. But I'm fairly sure they started including those even before they were mandated by law in response to this.
Yeah, certainly Tylenol did.
Yeah, exactly, because otherwise Tylenol would have stopped being sold.
You know what I think the difference is?
Yeah, what
I'm
is the
gonna tell you
difference?
what one of the differences, and I know this because I'm involved in some of these lawsuits.
Yeah,
Tylenol, it was like a bad actor
yeah,
causing the deaths of children who were just trying to take Tylenol.
right.
Here, it's like kids kill themselves sometimes. That's the argument from these chatbot companies is like, "Oh, kids kill themselves. Troubled kids find their way onto the internet. They would've killed themselves anyway, and they happen to be in discussion with this chatbot, but that's not why they killed themselves." And just kids, look, think about it, kids kill themselves. And so there's like no clear causality yet. And one of the big reasons there's no causality, as we know, is because the big companies will not let us into their data. So that's
Yeah,
like one of the things I can't wait to feast my I can't wait to get my hands on is the evidence. If we could do that, that'd be amazing. I'm not saying we can do that, but if we could get access to the data in discovery and just be like, actually, no, there was causation here. Here's evidence that the weirder and more like predatory and more groomery this chatbot agent was, the worse off the kid was. And there was a feedback loop and it got worse and worse. And then the kid killed themselves. That's the kind of thing that a jury would buy.
yeah,
But we don't have that yet. So we don't have the bulletproof case that it was caused by,
yeah.
as like the Tylenol poisoner.
Right, right, right.
So same goes for the seatbelts in cars. Like these people, if they hadn't been driving in a fast car, would be alive.
Yep.
There was a huge amount of like effort to blame them for crazy driving, but it was just happened too often and too statistically consistently
Yeah.
to really blame drivers. So I'm just saying, like now a student of like how do things get regulated? And if your listeners have stories to tell me, bring it on. But that's what I'm interested in, because I'm like, let's do this. Let's get rid of JD Vance.
Yeah.
Because he is owned by Peter Thiel and he's never going to let anything through.
Yep.
Let's get a new administration. Let's get let's bring it on, like, with regulation, but also let's make it good regulation.
Yeah.
That's another problem.
And then let's pack the court so we can actually have that regulation stand up and not get thrown out by a unelected, partisan, unaccountable supermajority.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. No, but I think we got to do those things. Which means that I guess what we're saying is that one of the things we got to do is we got to vote our way out of this. One of the things that I've been doing when I've been going around and giving talks about this stuff is I More Everything Forever, my book, at the end of the book, I close it by calling to tax billionaires out of existence. And when I've been giving talks about it, one of the things that I've been saying is that taxation is the compromise, and that billionaires should be not just cool with taxation, but actually agitating to be taxed, which, as far as I know, the only billionaires doing that are like J.B. Pritzker and Warren Buffett. But more of them should be doing that, because the alternative historically has been guillotines. And when I say that, people cheer, and I worry a little bit that they're cheering for like the mention of guillotines, when what I feel like is no, guillotines are bad. I think, hot take, murder is bad, and we should be dealing with this through redistribution of wealth, like aggressive redistribution of wealth and regulation of markets to make them, small enough to drown in a bathtub.
Listen, I'm with you, because I, like you, was raised to have faith in systems of government.
Yeah.
But if you talk to 20-somethings,
I know.
They were raised in a nihilistic manner.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, maybe that guy who killed the CEO of United Healthcare had a point.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty close to the guillotine. But if you ask by age cohort whether that guy should get the death penalty, or you'll
I
be
don't
surprised.
think he should get the death penalty. I think the death penalty is barbaric.
Or even if he should be convicted of a crime.
Well,
honestly.
Okay.
That was asked of me by a 24-year-old. Should he be convicted of a crime? And I was like, absolutely. What are you talking about? He killed somebody in broad daylight. And they're like, yeah, but like, wasn't it reasonable? And I'm like, no, It wasn't. What the fuck? But I definitely was like, I'm talking to a generation right now.
Yeah.
Like, I definitely feel that way. And not everyone is actually that far, but I mean.
Yep. No,
I mean, I'm just saying, like, we were raised in a different time. And if can you imagine growing up right now?
I know. I get it.
Like, they literally, these 20-somethings, they have spent their entire conscious life with Donald Trump.
Yeah. No, I know.
So that they see the kind of reality, like the mafia boss reality that's going on. Like, it's not out of the question to get rid of the people that you don't like.
I mean, look, I think that billionaires should be quite a bit more afraid. Well, I'm going to take that back, actually. I think that the billionaires, or many of the worst of the billionaires, like Musk and Thiel, Andreessen, so on, actually are quite terrified. And if you look at what they say,
they have huge security details.
Yeah, they have huge security details. Their public statements are just dripping with paranoia and persecution complexes. So it's not that they should be more afraid, but I think that
I'm going to tell you a story about these people.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to name any names, but a friend of mine had a friend. So it's somewhat third hand.
Yeah.
But he was asked to go to a undisclosed location in the middle of like Utah and talk to a bunch of billionaires and their consultants on how to. What?
I know who this is. This is in the public record. This is Douglas Rushkoff.
Okay, I don't know if this is the same story, because I actually don't know the name.
Okay, finish the story, but I think it's the same story.
Okay, tell me if it's the same story. But they're basically like, we want to know, how do we, when like the apocalypse comes and we're living on our little island, how do we like keep the guards from killing us?
Yep.
And the advice was like, make friends with the guards. And they're like, no, that's not it. We're thinking shock collars. Is this the same story?
It's the same fucking story. Yeah. So Douglas Rushkoff wrote about this experience that he had. He was flown out to an undisclosed location, and some billionaires asked him that question, and his response was, you have a lot of power and influence and money right now. You should use that to prevent the collapse of civilization. And they laughed that off.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
No, I mean, and this is, I think, also a large chunk of why they're so enamored of AI. They see it as a potential solution to this problem. You don't need the guards if you can just do it all with robots. Now, I think that violence is bad. Sorry, I'm realizing sound bites from this episode include murder is bad, Adam Becker, and let's take down the Northeastern power grid, Cathy O'Neil. But
I'm not suggesting we actually do that.
No, I understand.
And by the way, my friend who's worried about this is like, I'm going to put out an army of agents that do good instead of evil. And I'm like, don't do that. You're walking into literally a Star Trek plot.
Yeah.
Where you are the one who causes the thing you're worried about. Like,
yeah. Exactly.
Stop what you're doing.
That's exactly what it is. Oh my God.
So many Star Trek plots are happening.
There are so many Star Trek plots happening. And also I keep thinking about like early 90s computer movies like Hackers and Sneakers.
Yeah, totally.
Sneakers in particular has like a very special place in my heart. We are fighting a class war.
Yeah.
And people are dying. And so I can understand where people might feel that violence is justified. I just don't believe that we're there yet. Maybe I'm wrong.
Listen, I'm a big fan of Mamdani, and I love the fact that, and also, by the way, going back to 20-somethings, 20-somethings are fans of socialism. And the idea that the Democratic establishment is like, oh, that's fringe and far too left, and we can't possibly.
Yeah.
What they're asking for is like affordable college and affordable healthcare. It's not crazy.
No.
It is absolutely reasonable requests from their government. They're asking for stuff that our parents had.
Yeah, exactly. My parents went to Brooklyn College and it basically cost nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cathy, this has been a delight. Thank you for coming on the show. And we will have you back sometime.
Great. I'll have you back on my AI Skeptics podcast.
Sounds good. Thanks again to this week's guest, Cathy O'Neil. Next week, I talk with Alondra Nelson, who is the former head of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy under Joe Biden. And we talked about how to make scientific research work better and move on from the horrible damage that is being done by the current administration. So tune in. It's a good one. To submit questions for future guests and to suggest other guests and to see more pictures of Babka, join the conversation on Patreon. You can also find us on YouTube, on Instagram at DATMpod, on the web and on Blue Sky at dreamingagainstthemachine.com, or just find us wherever you get your podcasts. Dreaming Against the Machine is a proud member of Multitude Productions. Our executive producer is Nick Carissimi. Our theme music is by Jared Emerson Johnson. Our show logo is by Nick James. And our fearless leader is Babka, the greatest cat in the observable universe. I'm Adam Becker, and I'll see you next week.